come the union didn't protect the flight attendants at TWA in the American Airlines merger acquisition?
Yeah, I can
Go ahead.
respond to that, I think.
David's getting a
First
lot
of
of
all,
questions.
the most important thing to know is that wasn't AFA. Unfortunately, that was another airline, or another union representing the flight attendants at that airline. And their policies and their contract didn't rise to the standards of what AFA has made our policy in terms of protecting flight attendant seniority. The other thing that happened there, I think, was that TWA, if you recall, was on their third bankruptcy, I believe, and the company was in no position really to negotiate, neither were the employees when the American deal came forward. So even the minimal protection they had sort of got thrown overboard in the hopes that they could conclude that merger and stay alive to some degree. Those are decisions, as Pat and others have described, those are the kind of tough decisions that your negotiating committee gets to make if we're at the bargaining table when something like that happens. The alternative, of course, without a union is you have no say in that. Without a union at all, American had told TWA management that the seniority issue was a deal breaker, and if the union didn't exist, that would have been swept away even more quickly. So I think your biggest hedge against that is that AFA has a lot of experience in these things. We take this stuff very seriously, and we've always fought in every situation like that to protect the seniority of our flight attendants.
If I could just add, Vita, I would point out that we didn't represent either flight attendant group.
Right.
We didn't represent the American flight attendants. We didn't represent the TWA flight attendants. We could only stand by helplessly and watch in horror at what was happening to those flight attendants. We have worked with a group of those TWA flight attendants and supported them in their efforts to get their recall rights extended, because not only did the union representing the American flight attendants staple them to the bottom of the list, but as a result of that, they were all furloughed after September 11th, and the APFA contract has recall rights for only 5 years, and they have refused to negotiate with the company to extend those recall rights. So as a result, we're watching TWA flight attendants with 30, 35, 40 years have their careers ended because their recall rights have expired. So we're working with them, supporting them on a piece of legislation that would force the recall rights to be extended. And in addition, in order to prevent, and in the event that one of our airlines ends up as a merger partner with American Airlines, to prevent APFA, the American Airlines Flight Attendant Union, from doing the same thing, we have a piece of pending legislation that would guarantee, in airline mergers, would guarantee a seniority arbitration absent an agreement between the unions on how to integrate. So they could never do that to another group of flight attendants again when this legislation gets passed, which we have every confidence that it will be passed. Although the member airlines of the Air Transport Association, which is the airlines union, by the way, they are lobbying hard against it.